Yeah, the Bengals are on the clock now as the pick is in to move forward, and you have to wonder whether they already know what this is, that Houston wanted something that we wanted, or they didn't want something that we wanted. Is there still a potential, Dave, that they move down? Is it too late to move down? I mean, Houston got this right before that pick came up.
Right.
So
Why couldn't we trade it with Houston, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that would be rare for back-to-back picks to move down.
No. I just meant since they wanted to move up, if the
Yeah.
Bengals were calling and said to Houston, hey, we have 49, and they found a better deal at 48.
Right. But I mean, for two teams, to have a trade on back-to-back selections in the second round, from a historical standpoint, I don't know how many times that's happened. I mean, that would be a rarity. So I do think that this trade is obliterating. I'm sure the Bengals phones are dying down a little bit because this trade is probably obliterating some of the interest because this one is going on. If this trade's consummated, it looks like the Bengals phones may die a little bit.
This makes me think maybe the Bengals decided to stay, and then Houston jumped them for an offensive lineman. If this pick is an offensive lineman, that'll confirm that conspiracy theory.
And it will still surprise me if it goes that way. But you know what? We're all about the surprises.
Okay, so what about? I mean, I still think that my posture. They've spent a lot of money in the offense. They beefed up the offense. With the draft, I think they feel like they need to balance it out defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, does it happen where, I mean, we've been talking edge, we're talking corner. Would it be a safety? Would it be a linebacker? I mean, who's left in those areas, in those categories?
Owen Daniels at the
pretty
mic.
good pool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of linebackers left, a lot of safeties as well.
Yeah, guys like Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, and at safety, Kevin Winston Jr. From out of Penn State. And then, of course, Tate Ratledge. There's Ursary. You're right.
Yep.
Good call.
So Ursary goes.
So I don't think the Bengals were going – I don't think they were going to take him at 49. But it is interesting to jump the Bengals for an offensive lineman when everyone believes you're going to take one.
Would you have taken Tate over Ursary, Dave? Flip of a coin?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm just going back to what Al Golden said on his presser, Brad, here recently. We need to beef up the defense. We need interior defensive linemen. We need linebackers. We need safety. We need to get better up the middle.
Yeah.
Good defenses, like in baseball, shortstop, second base, or catcher, shortstop, second base, center field.
Yep.
Good up the middle defensively. The Bengals, they drafted a defensive tackle. Maybe they go linebacker this round, they go safety in another round. I mean, maybe they, if they get another pick, maybe they go defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, and then an offensive lineman in there at some point. But I think they're showing signs of
pick is in.
That was fast. I think this might be Ratledge because
I'm hoping.
the safeties
Are you
and the
calling it?
The safeties and linebackers seem to all be sliding together. Whereas if Ursary starts an offensive line run and you like Tate Ratledge, maybe he's not.
But how many linebackers have been selected? There may be a really, really good linebacker.
Are you calling linebacker
that they like? I think there's probably interior offensive linemen, linebackers that they like that are left on the board. I would not be shocked if it's a linebacker based on what Al Golden was saying. I think he tipped a little bit.
Should we call it then?
Boy, that was fast.
Crumrise representing the Bengals.
Here comes Crummy.
All right, so it's going to be a defensive player, Crumrise there, man. It's going to be a linebacker or safety.
They still named the Lineman of the Year award in the high school state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone's quiet.
All right, Crummy, let's go. Everybody's quiet, waiting on the pick to come in.
He was a pain in the neck to practice against, I can tell you that.
Head down. Bengals fans ready.
Demetrius Knight,
Knight,
linebacker.
there we go.
He
Linebacker.
nailed it. Yeah,
How
good
about
call.
that?
Good call.
Demetrius Knight.
Up the middle.
Yep. Get the defense. I mean,
All right.
Al Golden,
Talk to me
listen
about
to him, man.
Demetrius.
I got you. All right, so he was 83rd on the consensus big board. So
Really?
Yeah, he was. He was a little bit later, and I'll give you the issues why. So he's a 6-year player at South Carolina or in college, 25.3 years old as of today. He's an older prospect, 6'1" and 5'8", 235. He has an 80.5-inch wingspan, really
Ooh, he's
long
long, man.
arms. He ran a 4.58 at the combine. Good speed, relative athletic score is testing performance. Put him just under the 82nd percentile. production in the 74th percentile. What does he do on tape as they're showing it right now? He is a downhill run defender that is actually really good in coverage. You see how fast he clicks and closes and flies to the ball carrier. When he hits with power, he hits with intensity. We're talking about Shamar Stewart in the first round, how much intensity he plays with and how hot his motor runs. Demetrius Knight is that at linebacker as well. So the Bengals wanted to get tougher. They wanted to get more physical. They wanted to shore up the middle of the defense. Demetrius Knight helps do that. And I think he's a good blitzer. You see it right there, right on time as the clip is playing.
Am I counting right? This is the third South Carolina defensive player in the second round?
Yeah, T.J. Sanders, Dickie Memory.
Yep.
We'll get Kyle Kennard at some point.
Be more.
And I tell you, I think too, that South Carolina, a good defensive football team. This guy, Demetrius Knight, older player, made all the calls. Yes. I mean, you got to have a guy who's the quarterback in the huddle. You know, the quarterback obviously is the quarterback in the huddle for the offense. Usually it's the middle backer, the inside backer for the defense. This guy knows football. He's been around it a long time. He's got a lot of snaps. He's got a lot of experience. I think Al Golden looks at him and says, he can be my mouthpiece. I mean, you know, when I communicate with him, I know Demetrius Knight is going to have the attention of everybody the way that it needs to be had, and he's going to communicate things the way they need to be communicated.
Do you think there's anything interesting about this? As we were talking about Mike Reed and his musical prowess, that Demetrius Knight is a distant relative of Gladys Knight.
How about
it? And Aretha Franklin.
How about
it? To go along with. I don't know whether there's something going in with this as well, but there's something odd. Do we like the pick? Give me a grade, Alan.
I do like the pick. I think it fills a need.
Grade it. Would you get an A on this pick?
I'm going to give it an A-. I think because there were higher guys on the board overall value-wise.
Gotcha.
But you fill a need. I do think at some point there was going to be a run on linebacker. So you get the guy you want. As you mentioned, you want a guy who can make the calls, be a quarterback on defense. This guy was a high school quarterback. They played 4 years starter as a high school quarterback. I think you like those guys on your defense.
But I said, what don't you want? And you said, don't reach. Did we reach for a guy listed at 84?
I didn't want to reach on a position, take a position that isn't a position of need. This one fills a very specific need, and it's a guy, I think, with a new defensive staff, new defensive coordinator. I think you got to give him a couple things to work with, right? You got to give him a couple toys to play with. So I like that they gave the pick to Al.
How about this? Jermaine Pratt has vocally come out and said, I want traded. So if Jermaine Pratt, if they have said to him, go out and see what the market is. I mean, that's what they told Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson, there was some interest out there, but not interest at the first round level. And it takes two to tango. And the Bengals are not going to give Trey Hendrickson up for less than a first rounder. What team is going to give a first round pick and pay him $30 million a year?
Right.
So no trade has happened yet. And I don't think it will. I think they'll sign him, give him a bonus and $15 million of this year, get his salary and bonus up to about $30 million. He's like 15.8, 15.2, or 16.2 or whatever. So, I mean, you know, they take care of it. They take care of it in that regard. If Jermaine Pratt, there's no interest out there, but he's obviously unhappy. Al Golden drafted him. Al Golden was the linebacker coach when Jermaine Pratt was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. They have not drafted any linebackers since Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt were drafted in that year. So I don't know. Maybe Al's saying, all right, Jermaine, you're unhappy. You don't like what's going on. I'm going to cover my bases and get a guy in case it doesn't work out and you're no longer a Cincinnati Bengal.
Joe, we spent all this time leading up while we were in the 40s talking offensive line. Did we reach for a linebacker?
We did. And that happens. And sometimes those players turn out to be really good players. Sometimes, you know, the value isn't correct and you want to take it back. Considering that they were also there was other linebackers on the board, Barrett Carter, there was Kelvin Winston and Tate Ratledge. I would rather have gone the guard route with Tate Ratledge. I think you protect Joe Burrow when you can.
Yeah.
To give you an example, he was 86 on the consensus for Demetrius Knight. He was 145th on ours, that takes in all the production and athletic testing.
Ooh.
And because he's 25 years old, usually that hurts guys upside. Now, that probably means he's plug and play. But at the same time, I did not think another linebacker after Carson Schwarzenegger was worth a second-round pick in this class. This is considered a poor linebacker class. And when you get ahead of it like this, I thought the value in this class was going to be in rounds 4, 5, and 6. and they went ahead and got their guy.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that they felt like the run on linebackers was going to start? We might as well be at the front of it and get the guy that we want or whatever. And linebacker, offensive line, looking ahead to the third round, what do you think that, as you look at it, you say, oh boy, you're looking at every team, what they're thinking about picking on your board and all that. What's going to be there in the third round? Will there be more interior offensive linemen, or will there be more interior linebackers in the third round? Maybe that was part of the thought process too.
I think there'll be a lot of offensive linemen still there based on our grading and everything projected, but still, I don't know that anyone had Demetrius Knight as a top 50 player. And for this class, we were told, like you've been saying, 15 to 50, you're going to get a similarly graded player. Well, the Bengals kind of punted that and said, we're going to take a third round guy at the highest. So I can't give them a good grade and say you got good value. I like Demetrius Knight on tape. I really did. But you have to find the correct value for what that means. And I think it was third round range.
Are you a diehard Bengals fan craving more than just highlights? Dive deep into the heart of the team with Dave Lapham's In the Trenches, presented by First Star Logistics. Join Bengals icon Dave Lapham, a 10-year NFL veteran and the team's color analyst since 1986, as he delivers unparalleled Bengals analysis. In the Trenches features exclusive interviews with current players and coaches, giving you an inside look at game strategy, team dynamics, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't find anywhere else. Plus, Dave brings in top NFL experts like Chris Sims, Charles Davis, Solomon Wilcots, and Chris Collinsworth to break down the biggest plays and predict the future of the Bengals and the AFC North. Get the edge every week. Subscribe to Dave Lapham's In the Trenches on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts today.